A Few Questions by Donald Glaister, and Matter, Antimatter, and So Forth by Casey Gardner ask big questions about science, cosmology, and human understanding. Let's join these artists on journeys back to the beginning of time and the universe. Donald Glaister has been a professional bookbinder and artist since the 1970s. His design bindings and editioned artist books reflect his interests in human perception and the nature of confusion, disorientation, and not knowing. Applying his extensive technical knowledge and skills, he explores the possibilities of what can be done with materials and surfaces. Glaister describes A Few Questions as an informal exploration of the nature of matter, existence, and time. The label on the box's spine reminds me of light peeking out of darkness, perhaps the first moment light emerged from the universe. I was immediately taken with the materiality of A Few Questions. The exposed spine and fluid marks contrast the slick surface of the pages, juxtaposing the organic yet precise handwork with the inorganic acrylic. For this book, Glaister sought to make paintings on paper that incorporated type. To reduce friction between the pages that could damage the surface, he used an encapsulation technique common in document conservation. Each page consists of materials encapsulated or sandwiched between two protective layers of acrylic film. Glaister's painted marks and sprayed shapes suggest calligraphy, geometry, and expressive energy. They are layered on different pieces of acrylic and paper inside each page to create the illusion of depth. As the title states, Glaister's prose starts with a few questions, vast questions about the time before time. The shapes and marks move around each other, and while they overlap from our perspective, each one appears to be floating in its own distinct planar space. Glaister's tone is informal, somewhere between an internal train of thought and an irreverent late-night conversation with an old friend. A Few Questions materially parallels the inaccessibility of answers to such questions. It's difficult for my eye to discern which layer of substrate these marks were made on, and we can't remove the layers of imagery sandwiched in the acrylic film. The contrasts between positive and negative space, and the geometric shapes with the fluid brushstrokes, conjure early stages of existence, before elemental things combined and became more complex. Then the interaction of the shapes and painted marks changes. They merge in a visual crescendo that parallels the pace and depth of the questions. Glaister's comment pulls me back from the metaphysical abyss. Here's a question for you. As the shapes spread across the page with movement and a visual suggestion of passing time, Glaister's text offers a certainty, but no answers. None were promised in the title, after all. But answers aren't the point. Exploration and playfulness are. Glaister told me he has long been concerned with precision and expression in his work, a balance he seeks by finding ways to insert playfulness into the technical flawlessness of bookbinding. This dichotomy lends itself to the inquiries and ideas Glaister explores in A Few Questions. For him, the question of time suggests scientific subject matter alongside the expansiveness of the human spirit. He said, "They're parallel impulses, two sides of the same question. It's a very human response to a big, unknowable scientific question, and the question is beyond scientific." Casey Gardner is a printmaker and book artist in Berkeley, California. A lifelong lover of books and former journalist, her multi-layered narratives explore the intersection of scientific understanding and human meaning. Matter, antimatter, and so forth is a journey of questions that reflects Gardner's voracious appetite for knowledge and awareness. The subtitle, 7 Missions in Consideration of Cosmological Incomprehensibilities, sets us up for a wild ride. The letterpress printed wrapper unfolds to a map of outer space that tracks the mission-based chapters in the story. Other charts and information in the wrapper are full of tantalizing, if overwhelming, words. Even with little knowledge of cosmology, I recognize that Gardner is building a fantastical narrative based on deep research. The folios document 7 missions. The front of each one follows Phoebe, an intergalactic traveler, as she journeys through time and space in search of what matters. The interior of the folios contain bursts of image and information. These read as Phoebe's notes, drawings, and observations from her missions. In this first mission about light, text about the nature of stars and light radiate from a sun in the bottom corner. Each folio contains intergalactic artifacts from the transparent universe, specimens collected by Phoebe during each mission. Graphically distinct from the letterpress printed folios, these digital images interact through color, illustration, and text across the transparent layers. The interior of the folios are akin to a collection of primary information paired with ponderings and relationship making. The back of each folio organizes the spectacular and enigmatic data from the mission into tidy charts. The narrative is written from Phoebe's perspective as she explores the universe with Amos to the 9th dimension, a non-human being who is searching for the 10th dimension, which can only be achieved with the help of a human. The book carries us forward with complex imagery, questions, and philosophical ideas that could be pondered and analyzed for hours. Gardner explained to me that in this book, and much of her work, she goes back and forth between the science she's researching and what she's thinking about at an emotional level about how the science affects us. She said, "In my fancifulness, I'm very keen on verisimilitude. That's part of the journalist in me, to fact-check and double-check and cross-reference, and ask who, what, where, why, when, and how." The transparent material and digital illustrations of these collected artifacts distinguish them from the letterpress printed observations and notes. They are a sort of primary source material that we can touch and gain insight into how Phoebe's missions seem to end up with more questions than answers. When I asked Gardner about the transparencies, she explained that the universe was once opaque, and as it expanded, it became transparent. She said, "It was an inchoate, rich time in the universe. I was thinking of it as transparency and layers, and everything is complex and interrelated, but also this whole force of light, and the role of light in the universe." Gardner's penchant for wordplay adds additional layers of complexity while introducing ambiguity. The 4th mission explores multiple dimensions and meanings of the word matter. As Phoebe and Amos to the 9th dimension approach the beginning of the universe, she notes the agitation and asks, "What's the matter?" To which her companion replies, "Precisely." Matter and antimatter form pairs and annihilate back to energy. But Phoebe wonders if the moment she grabbed Amos to the 9th dimension's hand might have been the moment that some antimatter was left behind, creating an imbalance that gave matter the chance to bring everything into being. This is a pivotal moment in Phoebe's story and the story of our universe. Here we reconnect with the book's title, Matter, Antimatter, and so forth, which comes from the idea that the whole reason something, anything, exists is because of one slight imbalance of matter and antimatter. Phoebe's notes and documentation dive deeper into the multiple meanings and modes of matter. Even the title of the mission, Matter, Why Is There Something Rather Than Nothing, addresses this playfully, with matter as a substance or subject, a noun and a verb. The words, "Yes, you matter," are embedded in the artifact from the transparent universe, a potent message from the earliest era of light and time. The chart on the back, like the others, parses complex information and questions into smaller, more easily approached morsels. When I asked Gardner about her process in creating these, she said, "I set it up as an inquiry and also a place for me to delve into and make a context for what I was understanding and learning. I can be really didactic, and I'm trying not to be. I'm trying to experience it and put it in a connected and playful way of learning." Gardner wasn't only researching cosmology while developing matter, antimatter, and so forth. She was also studying storytelling and incorporated devices and concepts throughout, such as the call to adventure on the wrapper. The constellations in the 6th folio offer a ready vehicle to combine stories with the universe. It turns out, imagination and storytelling are the key to Amos to the 9th dimension's transition to his 10th dimension. At last the story ends. Phoebe and Amos to the 10th dimension go their separate ways. Amos to the 10th dimension's final words to Phoebe, "Always travel light," recall the very beginning of the story. This advice on how to move through the world is emphasized with a little dash of that multiple meaning wordplay. We can travel with few things weighing us down, and these characters can travel at nearly the speed of light. Phoebe's name, even, comes from the Greek word for pure, bright, or radiant. Phoebe's final mission notes emphasize that we remain curious, always questioning and seeking. Matter, Antimatter, and so forth is a book to be read many ways. The folios are numbered, but not bound. We can dip in and out of any mission. We can follow Phoebe's journey or pursue the breadcrumb trail that Gardner left of her own research into cosmology and storytelling. Questions and alluring ambiguities abound, but it all comes together to create a satisfying story, alongside the feeling that I can come back to this book again and again and discover more. The universe, after all, is a very big place. A few questions, and matter, antimatter, and so forth deftly integrate multiple layers and transparent materials into examinations of some of the universe's most opaque questions. With distinct voices, both books inspire deep ruminations on cosmology, time, philosophy, and humanity.